There are clearly good movies and clearly bad movies, but sometimes we'd like to throw on an old-time record. We'd like to mess up our intros over and over again.
Yes, sir. 1966, this place had swing. Hell, I don't even think I could get a room here in the main lodge if I tried.
That's how it all starts, with a simple choice. Which side are you on? Up, down, good, evil, right, wrong, God or no God. It's simple, just pick.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's episode of Good Bad, Bad Good. I am your host, Travis, and I am a director and producer. With me, as always, is the very talented...
Hi, Lena Mai. I'm an actor and a writer.
And the amazing musician...
Thank you, Brian. I am a video editor also, in addition to being a spectacular musician.
Musician? Aren't we on a film podcast?
Yeah, but we're all multi-talented.
Okay,
Like,
yes.
We're literally just
hyphens.
putting
We're
ourselves in a
hyphens.
box for the sake of this show.
Nobody
So
put Babe
people
in a
could
box.
easily understand.
You're right. I'm an excellent booger picker. I am a great cook. Just a couple things.
She also makes great drinks because on tonight's weeknight special recording, Kai and I are drinking a rum drink, and Brian is drinking water.
Yeah, buddy.
On this episode, we are doing Bad Times at El Royale, which, you know, is a movie.
It very much is a
Very much
movie.
is a movie. We're gonna start by letting Google. Oh, it's a 2018 movie, but then we're gonna start by letting Google give us a little bit of a synopsis of this movie.
Hey Google, what's the plot synopsis for Bad Times at El Royale?
Here's the synopsis of Bad Times at the El Royale. The El Royale is a rundown hotel that sits on the border between California and Nevada. It soon becomes a seedy battleground when 7 strangers, a cleric, a soul singer, a traveling salesman, 2 sisters, the manager and the mysterious Billy Lee, converge on a fateful night for one last shot at redemption before everything goes wrong.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very long. And
Yeah.
direct
I'm so
synopsis.
impressed by Google more and more every day. So I don't think we need to add anything else. I mean, spoiler alert, we are going to be going into all the different mysteries that this film presents, I guess, for lack of a better word. But first, before we jump into the different categories, what is our verdict on the film? I will go with Brian first.
Yeah, I said that this was a bad, good movie.
I also said that this is a bad, good movie.
Interesting. I think it is a good, bad movie,
It's okay, you can be wrong.
Yeah, always.
as it usually seems to be the case. So we will be breaking it down into 3 different categories. The first one that we will be going into is probably the category that we're all going to agree on, but plot, synopsis, and script. Would either of you like to go first?
Well, I just want to know why you think we're all going to agree on it. So I think you should go first.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. I will go first. This is the only category that I think where it's like really lacking, or like where it has most of its flaws. In the acting category and the not to jump ahead, but in the technical category, I don't really have much complaints. Like I mean, obviously we'll go more in depth later on, but a lot of the issues I had with this movie are the plot and how it unfolds and how like it becomes this meandering film that you think is going to be a little bit, or at least I thought was going to be a little bit more profound than what it was, and it becomes it just like in the end it gets reduced to this like didactic film about being sorry.
Don't use words we can't understand.
Yeah, good call. But also, now going off
Wait,
of what
what
you
word
were
did
just
you not
saying-
get?
Didactic.
Didactic just
I'm also
I think we
kidding.
both
oh
know
well
what
I
didactic
don't
means.
know.
No, wait. Going off of what you were just saying, I want to ask both of you, what do you think this movie was about?
That's a great question.
Like, if you had to tell us what the message of this film is, what they're trying to say, what their statement is, what their thesis is. What is the thesis of this film?
Don't stay in seedy roadside motels.
I would say redemption, and that everyone can be redeemed no matter
Redeemed.
how bad they are, or how.
Unless you kill someone.
What do you mean?
Literally everybody that killed someone. Oh no, actually, but everybody that killed someone also got killed, with the exception of Jeff Bridges' character,
Who
who
does he kill?
he kills the girl at the end, the crazed sister. Doesn't
Oh
he?
yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And we also
Wait, no, he didn't. I thought the desk clerk killed her, didn't
No, he goes to her and like says like it's okay, like everything's gonna be okay, because she's
Oh,
like
that's
crying
right.
over Charles Manson, or like the
Right,
good looking
right.
Charles Manson, and then
the very, 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 very good looking Charles
he
Manson.
lost 30 pounds for this movie. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
He did.
Chris Hemsworth in
And
this
he still
movie
looks
was like
incredible.
Brad Pitt in Brad Pitt in Thelma and Louise status, which is like, for anybody that is my age and you first saw that movie when you were like 4 or 5 years old, it was like the very first time that you wanted to like walk over to the couch and dry hump it.
I've never heard of that movie. What movie is that?
Thelma and Louise?
When did that come out?
Wait, you're actually shitting me, right? Thelma
No.
and Louise?
What movie is
You're
that?
lying. Stop it. Are you? You have to be lying.
Yes,
Okay.
of
I
course.
was like, what? You went to film school.
It's like one of Ridley Scott's better films because he just is a mixed bag.
I love Ridley Scott for the most part.
He
But
j-
yes,
he
that's
does so
excellent
much.
film.
Like this is a different segue, but like if you look at his IMDb, he has like I don't know how many directorial things, but it's just like for every Gladiator or Thelma and Louise or Blade Runner you get like also, House of Gucci.
So how about Bad Times at El Royale?
This is a podcast about films, Brian.
About film specific
Brian's like,
film.
I'm on a later time schedule than you guys over here in
I'm
Texas.
just trying to keep the
Can
ship
we,
on
like,
track
yeah.
here.
Good, good.
I'm just trying to keep the ship on track. I'm trying to avoid the glaciers. I'm trying to avoid the, whatever the Titanic ran into.
Brian-
It was a
I almost said
glacier.
igloos, but it wasn't the iceberg. The icebergs, not the igloos. The icebergs.
Brian, our loyal listeners, the thousands of them that are out there,
Yeah, right.
they come
Hi,
for
Mom.
our knowledge on all on all films. They come for unwavering facts and
I
insightful.
feel like half
Wrong
the time
podcast,
I'm
then.
looking something up on Google going, who did this? What?
An insightful insight into movies, Brian.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, let's get on with the show.
Yeah. Okay, so
you
for the
thought this
for
was
the 10
about-
people that are still listening
Yeah, right.
and did not turn this
Wait,
episode
so what
off,
did you say you thought this movie was about?
redemption.
Redemption.
Like that's the theme in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and I think it comes on pretty heavy-handed in the end.
Yes.
Like to where,
Quite heavy-handed.
yeah.
Is that your takeaway, Brian?
I would agree with that. I'll be honest, I hadn't really thought about it until you posed the question. But I will agree with Travis's answer. I think that's kind of the overarching theme from pretty much all the characters for the most part.
The writer brain in me is always trying to figure out what the hell they're trying to say, because I don't think you necessarily, you know, sometimes when you write, you end up just like having for me, sometimes when I write, I end up having like a vision in my head of a scene or a something, and I'll just like start maniacally writing. But if I want it to go anywhere or be anything, I have to ask myself like, where did this stem from? What is this about? What am I trying to say with this? So I always sort of look at a film and go, what are they trying to say?
I'm always I'm also that like annoying, pretentious film friend that like when I ask someone, oh, what's it about? And then they like tell me the plot. I'm like, no, but what's it about? Like, that's what happens.
Message.
That's what happens, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
But I digress. Any other comments on?
On plot?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, the idea of the movie I liked. The execution of the script I didn't like as much. There were moments that I liked. It felt a little too drawn out in some parts, which I feel like I've said about a lot of movies we watched for this
Yeah.
podcast.
Brian likes his movies to be TV form.
If I could get my movies done in about 10 to 15-minute increments, I'm just all about the short films. Just give me the short films. No, it just, I don't know. It felt, like I said, like the idea of it, like when you read the plot line or like the blurb on IMDb or whatever, I think that sounds like the setup for a good movie. But just the way it played out, I just ended up losing interest kind of like midway through. I will say, I knew this movie was going to be fucked the second they killed Nick Offerman in the first 3 minutes
love
of
that
the
you
movie.
said that because
What a waste of Nick
totally.
Offerman.
But also, how funny that he like said yes to this role after this came out in 2018. He's Nick Offerman. Like, it cracked me up because this is my second time watching this movie, and I just want to agree with you on the like seeing the log line or the slug line of the movie and being like, oh, I would totally watch this. I was excited to see this movie when it came out.
The trailers were amazing.
Yes.
Like I remember being in the theater, seeing the trailer and being like, this is going to be really good.
And I'm all about thrillers. I am all about semi-action packed whodunit films. Like, I love that shit. So I was all about this. Also, I have to say Jeff Bridges is like one of my favorite actors of all time. So I was very excited for this film.
Pretty much everyone, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Pretty much everyone, but like I just wanted to add, since we're talking about Nick Offerman, like almost everyone took a drastic pay cut to be in this film. Like almost the entire cast wanted to be in it.
Really?
Like it wasn't just like a oh, we wasted Nick Offerman, but it was like this whole cast. Like,
right.
Jeff Bridges like took a massive pay cut to be in this.
Well, right. So that's what I was gonna say. I honestly think that the script, even the execution of the script, was decent. So I disagree with the fact that I think it's actually a technical thing regarding pacing.
Okay.
The way that they actually shot it, the way that the editor edited it, that made it feel so slow and drug out. And who knows? I'd have to read the actual script to know if that pacing is in the script, right? If you're reading it and you're going, oh, this is if it's set up, if each scene in the actual script is like, you get a lot of details about what it looks like and what the lighting is like and what the sound is like and how we feel. So then as a director, you're gonna go, okay, the pace of this is slow. We're going on a I want to say ride, but a ride sounds fast. We're going on a journey. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. I wanted to love this movie because I like the plot, and I like that even though they're so opposite of, like, we just did The Bubble and we were talking about how many characters there are in The Bubble that just, it goes on and you're going, who the hell is the protagonist of this movie? There are a lot of characters in this movie, but I didn't feel like each of their, there was too much, there was excess given to each of their stories. It was like clear, concise, and I knew who the main character was. I was following it the whole way, and each of them had the story of redemption, right? Which then brings it back to the theme, which I appreciated.
See, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know what this is saying about like us three as like a group, other than that I'm forever going to be different. I had no issue with the pacing. I had no issue with like any of that stuff. I had issues with the nuts and bolts and like the heavy-handedness of what each character was saying. And primarily, like the third act, or like towards the end, because it just gets so, I want to say preachy, but to just annoy you too, it gets very didactic in that portion of the film.
Sorry, let me get my thesaurus real quick.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know what exactly that means. That like I was okay with this pacing. Like, all right. Question for you two then. Did you know? I felt like there was mystery throughout the entirety of the film, to where like that was what was the driving force for me. Like,
so funny that you said that. I was just reading over my notes because I was bored by hearing you speak. No, I'm just joking. I was listening and wanting to chime in, and I literally, right as you said that, read my note that says not enough mystery or good I wrote not enough mystery or good dialogue to actually care.
Okay, but this was your second time watching it.
This is true.
Your notes are based off your second time.
This is true.
Brian, did you see this before?
I would agree. No, I never seen this before. I would agree with both of you in that the dialogue I didn't love, but I felt like there was mystery. Like there were things that I was still figuring out as the movie went along.
I will say though, I did not want to watch this a second time. Like I was like, oh, we're
Well,
doing
yeah,
this movie
you
for
totally
the podcast.
you totally led the witness with like Brian and I. Like I thought we were gonna watch like fucking Waterworld again or something like that. Like you made it seem like
Yo,
sorry,
Waterworld
you
is
know-
still
you
an
know
underrated
why
movie.
I led the witness?
but my point being like Kai made it seem like we were watching like The Room or like some like terrible movie.
I'm an actor. I get a little dramatic.
And
okay?
like I turned it on and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is 2.5 hours of The Room quality
long.
film.
No, I guess I only said that because I remember being wildly
And
disappointed.
it has 75% on Rotten Tomatoes and like a Metacritic score of like 65. Like it's
So
not
why are we doing this movie?
because it's 65 still in the middle.
I'm just
And
joking.
like
I'm just joking. No,
there weren't
so-
any raving reviews as well. Like everyone was very middling.
Yeah, I honestly think that the reason why I probably set it up for you like that is because I was so wildly disappointed because I was so excited to see this movie when it came out. I was like, hell yeah. And we're at a hotel. And it's just, I love one location films when you can keep me enticed when we're just in one location. But then, so one of my critiques actually is I don't like how many different locations they actually do go to in the flashbacks, right? Like keep us to the theme. We go room 1, then we go room 4 or 5, whichever the next room is. So I'm like, yeah, let's keep going with the rooms. But instead, we then go to Washington, D.C. And then we go to...
When do we go to DC? I know we do Billy whatever when we do the backstory for
We go to
Chris
Washington, D.C. for Cynthia... what is her last name?
Arrivo.
Arrivo's character, Cynthia Erivo's character, and then later we go into the jungle for the clerks, the
Yeah.
character.
That was the only flashback that I'm like, we don't need this flashback right now.
Absolutely
I was on
not.
board for probably, let's say that 80% of the flashbacks. I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like, it's giving us some backstory. And the flashbacks, thankfully, weren't that long. It wasn't like they were 10-minute
I agree
callbacks
with
of
that.
like going on a whole different journey. It was just like, this is what possibly led them to where they're at right now and why they are the people that they are.
Right, like I didn't mind Cynthia.
The Vietnam flashback was just like, we're right in the middle of this climax
See,
and you're cutting back to like,
I actually liked learning more about, I forget what the character's name is, but I liked learning more about his backstory. So I actually, because like I feel like you get bits and pieces of him throughout the movie, but then what was it? The woman turns to him and was like, how many people have you killed? And he goes 137 or something.
23.
Like that. And my jaw, 100. Sorry, and I was just like, holy shit. So. So I was kind of like, is this dude like a hitman? Like I had questions about him the second he said that. So when it kind of went into that,
I was
so
like,
I thought he was going to be a serial killer.
yes, me too.
I
And I
thought
was
he
like,
was
yes.
or yeah, so
I
that's
But I
yeah.
also have that like, ooh, I want to see the dark and creepy. So I'm like, yeah, make this weird ass guy who's doing heroin in the back room
Yeah,
also a serial killer.
I thought he was like, full on
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer, like,
Yeah, we're in the
You know,
70s. Let's
yeah.
bring out the Jeffrey Dahmer with the.
I thought he was going to have like all of his victim, all 123, like in a back room, like stuffed, like
Yeah.
taxidermy style or
I will
something.
say.
I,
Oh yeah, go ahead, Brian.
sorry, I was just gonna say that the heroin scenes kind of make more sense knowing the trauma that he
Yeah,
went through
yeah.
in Vietnam, though.
Totally.
Not being able to cope with
Yeah,
that
totally.
for sure.
But it was just this like, and it's interesting that we both had that same feeling, but it's like they're building up this character this whole time, and you're thinking like, he keeps saying like, I've done these terrible things, and like this is not like me saying the trauma that our veterans like have been through like is anything, but like it builds this tone of like that he's done something like a serial killer or like a rapist
right.
or
Well,
like
especially
true.
because we not only hear him say that, but we hear him say that after we've set up that he works in this what
Yeah,
everybody keeps
yeah.
calling pervert motel.
Yeah.
And that he is comfortable enough, even though he clearly has shame about it, to be recording people and sending it to management, right? So then you're going, okay, there's something off about this guy. We already know that. So automatically you don't go, he's got a history of trauma, or you might, but you also think that he's got maybe a history of like family abuse, which led him to be a serial killer or whatever else.
It's also this weird setback for that character though too, because like I don't know if setback is the right word, but we see him doing these terrible things. We're like filming people having sex, which is like a very low, like terrible thing to do. But like being in the military, like in my mind, is not, I know like those actions are, but like I don't blame him for being in the military and doing what like his.
Oh, of course not.
You know what I mean? Like no one ever blames the military for the things that they do, like the individuals.
Right.
It's more of like if
But
there's.
that doesn't mean that he doesn't blame himself.
100%. I'm
Yeah.
just saying from like the viewer perspective, like I would say probably majority of people would see the actions that he's doing in the hotel are far worse than like being in the military. And that's why it was just I'm like, we don't need to, like this could have been easily solved by like having this flashback either earlier or like setting up that he was a veteran in some way. I don't know. Or just not having that flashback at all. Like, I think there's this like the redemptive quality like is still there if like he just says like I've killed 123 people and he's still in the end sacrificing himself to save other people. Like that point's
However,
still
the
there.
mystery would be there of like, wait, they didn't because they tied up everybody else's loose ends.
Yeah, but then our imagination is like, if I'm like, this dude's a serial killer, and he's still like his last act before he died was a selfless act. Like I'm like that has a little bit more meat to it than just like I'm, and like that's how I would have interpreted it. That would have been left up to whoever to like interpret it however they want. I don't know. Maybe someone thought like, oh man, 123 people. He was like definitely causing a lot of car crashes for fun. Like I don't know. Like it's whatever the imagination
he was
like
killing
is.
guests in the hotel, but
No,
I think that's what they want us.
Agreed. But like our imagination took that character so much deeper and darker than like we thought, which is why I felt like that flashback was a poorly timed flashback.
Well, I'm not even sure that it was necessarily poorly timed as much as if it had been a different type of flashback, you probably wouldn't have minded it as much.
Yeah. Like what we
So
got.
I don't know. It's the timing as much as the subject or the content.
Like what we got from that flashback, I feel like his flashback in particular is probably has the least substance of any of the flashbacks. Like, what do we learn from his flashback? We learned that he's a veteran and that he's good at shooting. Like it didn't need to be
the good at shooting point comes in 10
of
seconds
course,
later.
Of course, but like
Yeah.
that, like I don't know. We could have saw him like shooting beer cans or something in the back and been like, all right, he's good at shooting. Like we didn't need a whole 5-minute separate title card.
Although I
flashback.
wouldn't believe that the guy doing heroin and passing out would also be shooting beer cans in the back. I think.
Put a POW flag in his room that he's shooting heroin up in. Like, there's so many other more effective ways than doing it.
Right. And I felt like, yes, that's why I felt, I did, however, I did like Cynthia Erivo's flashback in Washington, D.C. I just, all I was sort of making the point of with the flashbacks is like, or the, not, it was inconsistent, right? They would give us a title card, and the title card would say room 1 or whatever. Then we would be entering room 1 and what was going on. And then a title card would come up and go Washington, D.C. And now they're taking us into a different time loop. And like, it's okay. It worked. It was a vehicle. I don't know. I didn't appreciate it. I wanted it to be uniform. I wanted every time we have a title card come up, it's a different room and we're going into that person's story. And then we can flash back from that person's story. And don't give me a title card. I'm going to understand that like we're clearly, if you're in a recording studio, then we're not back at the hotel in present time. Do you know what I mean?
And I honestly think the really simple solution for that is just the uniformity that you're talking about in the title card.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
room 1 like could easily just be like, this is the story of the person in room 1. This is the story of the room 1. Like,
right. And especially, and I don't, maybe we're like into the technical now than we are into the plot, into the script and plot, unless this was written in the plot. But also with those actual title cards that come up, they do them all in the same way, right? and they look like they could be the outside room number, right, of a hotel at that time. That's what the actual look of it, the actual graphics, that's the word I'm looking for. And so then when it says Washington, D.C. with the same graphics and the same thing, I didn't like it.
And then what was we had several different ones. We had the Washington, D.C., and then we had the title card for Chris Hemsworth, which was just his name.
Right. And then we had the
And I'm
flashback
blanking
one
on his
with
name. I want to say it was Billy Joel, but it's not Billy Joel.
No.
But
Billy Lee.
Billy Lee, I
Billy
think.
Lee.
I think you're
Okay.
right.
Billy Lee.
And
then there was.
did we have a flashback for
the
Rose, or the little girl, the little sister? Her name's Rose, right?
Yeah, because, well, was that her flashback the first time you see her sitting on the beach when she meets Billy Lee, or was that Billy Lee's?
No, that was her flashback.
That was her
Yeah.
flashback.
His flashback is the fight by the campfire.
Is when they're fighting and
Which
stuff.
I actually love that scene, I will say.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it like 95% of this film. Like I was sitting there and I was watching it and I'm like, I'm waiting for this to be complete crap, like Kai said it.
I
Like,
didn't say it was complete crap.
You said you hated it and it was the worst movie you've ever seen.
This is not true.
This is very true.
I'm
I
over
second what Trav
dramatic.
said.
Thank you. You built the
Okay, I'm over dramatic. I actually didn't mind watching this movie this time. Benny, what in the actual hell? He decided to sit on all the cords and itch himself. This way, buddy. This way, buddy. Come here.
And the listeners are like, why don't they just take the dog out of the room?
Because he's my little muffin. Because I'm over dramatic about all things and over sentimental and sappy. Okay, just to be 100% clear, I do not absolutely hate this movie. I will say I didn't mind watching it this second time. And I could watch Jeff Bridges give this performance again over and over and
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. Which is maybe a good segue into acting.
Last thoughts though.
Ooh,
And
nice.
We could go around it with like last thoughts on like plot and script. I really disliked the third act because it just like it got like you had this nice this great concept of like all these different people, random people in this hotel, and like it just ends up being this like paint by the numbers stick up of like people with guns and answer these questions or we'll shoot you and we're gonna take your money. Like it's such an elevated concept that just becomes this like in the end. And that was my biggest like once the priest and the singer come out with the bag of money and then like they take over, it's like this is the bad part that Kai was talking about.
Yeah, and actually I kind of remember, I think that's probably why my dramatics kicked in my memory of like this movie, was that I remember feeling like I was going on this ride and I was enjoying it. And then at an hour and 40 minutes and it starts to turn and I'm going, what is happening? And then all of a sudden we're just in this like fire storm of guns and people and Chris Hemsworth and whatever, that I was like, what the fuck is this?
And also like how do they know they're there? Do they have some sort of like telekinetic like powers that you get when you sleep with the underage woman?
Well,
like I don't know.
She
like,
called Billy
Yeah.
Lee. The younger sister called him
When?
and told him.
when she crawls into the mirror after shooting the guy to check out the clerk who's been shot in the face with a buckshot.
Yeah.
I
Rose
don't
called him.
remember
Yeah.
this at all.
What? She picks up the phone,
you
she
fall
calls
asleep
him,
again?
and then she opens the drawer, pulls out the notepad and looks at the name of the hotel on the notepad. Did you ask if he fell asleep again?
Yeah.
Listeners, I am so sorry. I apologize. I do not remember this. And I know that you come to our podcast for unflinching journalistic
How many times
film
are you
reviews.
going to make this joke?
I'm apologizing to our dear listeners. But any other final thoughts on script, plot, any of that stuff before we go into acting?
I will agree with everything you guys said. It kind of felt like two different movies, where it's like Kai was saying, it's like you're on this ride of who are these people, what is their deal, and then it just turns into this shoot 'em up kind of thing and heist movie. But the only reason I didn't hate it so much was because I did find Chris Hemsworth's character pretty compelling, and that's not entirely because he was walking around
You
with his
liked
shirt
his
off.
abs.
With his 8-pack.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Who doesn't want to
mean,
look at that?
yeah. I would kill a human being to look like that.
I'd prefer to look like him in Thor,
I would.
personally. But
I don't know.
That's just an unrealistic look, though. I'm trying to look realistically hot.
Yes, I agree. I
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
the
well,
kinda-
download his app. He has a workout app and subscription.
Chris
Look
Hemsworth.
like
if you would like to sponsor this podcast,
I thought you were about to say download his abs, and I was like, I wish I could. Believe
No,
me.
he has a workout.
But I like ice
He
cream
has a
too much.
workout app where you could look
Ooh,
like
what's
Chris
your
Hemsworth.
favorite?
on.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
I'm a sucker for cookies and cream. Just give me the good old cookies and cream.
There you go.
I'm good old.
Because I love Oreos. Oreos are the
You're-
greatest thing known to man. Sponsor us, Oreos.
Wait, did you say vanilla?
vanilla or cookies and cream. Like,
Basic
Yep.
bitches. Both of you.
Wait, Center, CENTR by Chris Hemsworth?
it's like
Hell
look like
yeah.
Chris Hemsworth in 90 days or get your money back.
Dang.
Yo, the next
Should I
time
get on
y'all see
that?
me,
I'm just kidding.
let my boobs turn
They
into
never
pecs?
made that claim. Do not say do not sue them for that claim.
the next time y'all see me, I'm just doing this podcast without a shirt on because I'm gonna look like Chris Hemsworth.
I just
Like, Brian, why is your hair blonde again?
wait. When you said that, for some reason, the image that popped into my head was the old lady from There's Something About Mary. That like close-up shot of her boobs that are all leathery.
Oh
and tan.
God, yeah. Oh God,
Brian
yeah.
said he was gonna take his shirt off, and that's what I pictured. I don't know why.
I don't know whether to. Should I be insulted?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sorry.
maybe.
Okay, with that,
That's okay.
how do we feel about how Chris Hemsworth's abs acted in this film?
Beautifully.
Beautifully, yeah. the dance that he does when they turn on Deep Purple.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't.
You
I
couldn't,
personally,
meaning you
I
did
just thought
not
it was
enjoy
so
that part.
cringe, and like that was also the point of the movie that was like going off in like a different path that I didn't like. I get it from
fully
the perspective that
agree,
you're looking
but
at it.
It did make me drool.
Yes, no, I 100% get that. But I was just like, this is like really cringe, and like, why is he doing this? Like, at one moment,
Because they wanted the female audience members to drool, or gay
But
audience
he was
wasn't
like
members.
this
just-
hard.
I mean,
he was like this hard
it
and
wasn't
fast,
just
like kill,
females.
like mob boss essentially. Like, he was like,
Yeah, but he's also very clearly loopy and like kind of crazy at the same time. So like it also felt like it kind of fit his character. Like his character would not just be like a Scarface
See,
type
I
of dude.
disagree.
No, he's like the
I-
egotistical cult leader.
Yeah,
I didn't.
exactly.
I didn't take him as loopy at all. I took him as like someone who knew exactly what he was doing and who he was like taking advantage of, like every step of the way. Like very calculated, very sociopathic.
Yeah, I didn't take him as
Yeah.
loopy either, but I also didn't take him
Which is why I
as-
thought
Well-
the dance was like, what?
Maybe
That's
loopy is the wrong
that's
word,
the
but
ego.
like
That's the like, here I am and I'm
the
doing
guy's
my
clearly got
thing.
something wrong with him.
I think y'all need to look at this from a different perspective of not trying to bang Chris Hemsworth.
Brian and I both just have Google eyes for
and look
Chris
at it
Hemsworth.
from the film journalistic integrity that we are supposed to be looking at this from.
Do you know who you hired to
keep
work
throwing
on this
that word.
podcast?
Yeah,
I don't
you
think
keep using the word integrity.
Yeah, I don't,
That was
I
my
don't
first
know who
time
you're talking
using
to.
I keep using
I
the
don't
word
know.
journalistic.
That's true. I never claimed to be a journalist, even though I do have a journalism graduate degree.
I have not claimed nothing. Never. Never. Yeah, okay, I got a lot of acting
Yeah,
notes.
hit
Let
us.
me just hit you with all of them.
Go for it.
So
Go for it.
actually, funny one. I wrote "goddamn John Hamm" and your damn accent for the beginning, and then I was like, oh, it was supposed to.
I had
be
the
a
same
bad
note. I was like, his
accent.
accent sucks.
Yeah, it was so
Yeah,
bad. But then I was
said
like,
so.
okay,
Yeah.
well, he's not actually that character, so I was okay with that. But okay, that beginning scene, even though I know he's like put on a character and he's doing his thing, he walks around like he owns the place, and it's so staged.
You're
like
still
it was
referring to John
very
Hamm, correct? Just so
What?
you're still referring to John Hamm. correct?
Yes, sorry, John Hamm. It's so staged. Like he's got the coffee cups. He didn't do anything like a real human might do things, right? Like he grabs so he's like wheeling and dealing, right? Walking around the whole space. Here I am, this, that, and the other. He's making a pretty big show, which I don't know. I guess that's maybe script, but why would, if he's a FBI guy, like why make such a big show? Why draw attention? Yeah. But then he does these things like, okay, he goes behind the bar because he's made a pot of coffee and he grabs 3 cups, but he does it without even thinking about it. And it's like he made this coffee for him. Then these 2 guests happen to walk in. So I just wanted, there are little things, like I just wanted the moment where as he's wheeling and dealing and spouting things off to him, where he has that thought like any normal human being would have of like, oh, maybe I should offer them a cup of coffee, and he grabs 2 more. But he just automatically grabs 3. Like, it just felt to me like I'm an actor and I know that the next thing that I have to do is grab 3 coffee cups. Not I'm a real person in this moment and I make a decision to grab coffee cups. And he kept doing things like that for me all the way throughout that were kind of driving me nuts. And I would say Cynthia Erivo does the same thing. She's very, I always feel like I'm watching a performance rather than watching a grounded character when I watch her act. Not to say I still am entertained enough by her and by John Hamm to watch them both and to get in it. I also thought of course, her singing voice is beautiful. But to kind of,
I thought it was terrible. But go.
really?
No,
Well, you're
I'm
terrible.
joking.
But to switch from John Hamm into her, that solemn note that she plays, where it's like her life is heavy, and she's grieving, and I just it's.
You're talking about like acting note, right?
Yes, I don't know. I didn't believe it. The only, if I'm honest, the only person in this whole movie that I was like, yes, to the performance, and I would watch that over and over and over again, is Jeff Bridges. Only person. Everybody else felt a little bit charactery or gimmicky, whereas he felt deeply rooted and grounded as this person. And to watch him go through the scene where he's telling her that he's kind of lost his mind, it like was heartbreaking to me. It was really beautiful to watch. I will also say I noticed there was an actor, he comes in with Chris Hemsworth team. He's an Asian actor. I want to look up his
he
name.
definitely had a very multi-ethnic cult. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is very progressive.
Right, but I was going, where have I seen this guy? I know I've seen this guy before. And it was funny because he was so prominent, but he also didn't have a whole line in the movie. Yeah. And so I was like, what an interesting thing to get cast in, right? Like, you're a very prominent figure. You're a part of this like cult leader's cult, but you don't have a single line. And then I realized I just watched on it's Hulu, the cult show with it was a book. With
Handmaid's Tale?
No. Hold
Was
on.
it book?
Now I have to look all of this up. So let's move on, and I'll come
Okay.
back to it.
Brian, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next for acting?
Yeah, I can go. So I'll start with John Hamm. I am not a fan of his in pretty much anything that I've ever seen him in.
I
Except
agree.
Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids, I think he is the most perfect
Okay.
casting because he's
I
this
love him
asshole,
as
and I
that,
feel
actually.
like he was just acting himself, and that's why.
There's just something about
But I
him
agree.
that's always, and even like when I've seen interviews with him on like talk shows or whatever, there's something about him that just feels like off and creepy to me. And I just like, I don't know. It has nothing to do with his acting. That's just my thoughts about him as a person, I guess. But I've never found him to be a good actor. Like I had the same note that you did, Kai, where I was like, man, his accent is dog shit. And then my next note is, I don't think John Hamm is a good actor. And then I realized that the accent was purposely fake. But I still like, I just don't buy his.
He's
performance
inorganic.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
Always.
It feels like robotic
Yes.
or forced.
100%. I'm watching a staged character. I'm not watching a
Yeah,
person who's real.
exactly. So yeah, I was not a fan of him. Jeff Bridges obviously is incredible. So I agree with everything you said about him because he's a fantastic actor. I actually thought Chris Hemsworth, even though his character was kind of, I don't know if you want to use the word cliche or whatever, like I thought his performance was really good
Yeah, I did too.
as that actor. Um, I'm not a fan of Dakota Johnson as an
No,
actress
for the
either.
same exact reason as John Hamm.
Yeah, there's no emotion or life in her.
And like give us we've seen you. That's the thing. I don't mind any of these people, right? I don't mind watching John Hamm. I don't mind watching Dakota Johnson. I don't mind watching Cynthia Erivo, but none of them hook me in a way or make me feel like I'm watching a real person. And with Dakota Johnson's character specifically, she's this like southern hippie badass. Like give us some character, like delve into that, because I was watching Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades of Grey but wearing hippie clothing. Like I didn't see a
Yeah.
huge difference, right?
Yeah, I will say. So the only other thing that I have ever seen Cynthia Erivo in was this series called The Outsider, which is based off a Stephen King book.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Such a
I
good
do
show.
love her in
And she was
that.
actually really
Yeah,
good in
actually,
that. She was
I
she was
agree.
really good.
She was
in that.
also really
agree.
good in the movie Widows by Steve
I
McQueen.
love that
directed it.
movie. So many people did not like that movie, and I loved
Who
that
didn't
movie.
like that movie? I've never met anyone that didn't like that movie.
Really?
Other than the Academy for not nominating it.
Well, right. Which I was going, what the
But
hell?
like critics, like it's got pretty good critic reviews. Okay. Any other?
I just want to.
Yeah, I mean, oh, go
No,
ahead.
sorry. I just wanted to go back to. Travis is getting ready to speak. I just wanted to go back to and say it's Manny Jacinto is maybe how you say it. He's the actor I was referring to that is in the Hulu show Nine Perfect Strangers. If you guys have seen that,
That's about Colts.
it's
I've
well,
heard
it's
of
not
it,
a, it's
but I
not a
haven't
cult.
seen
It's
it.
essentially Nicole Kidman's character plays like a guru who's running a sort of like ashram where you take, you know.
I love Nicole
Shrooms
Kidman, so
and-
I was eventually gonna watch it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you should
someday,
watch
but-
it. It's definitely worth the watch. But he's in it, and he's great in it. And it's always just interesting to me to watch how people come up and like to watch that he was in this movie with a prominent, his face was shown 100 times, but like he doesn't have a single word, and like to then be like, who is this guy? Watch him in Nine Perfect Strangers, and he has lots of words. He's really good.
Nice.
He has lots of words. I will also say I loved Nick Offerman, the small bit that he was in, and
The two scenes.
Yeah,
and I loved Kaylee Spaney. She played Dakota Johnson's little sister Rose. I actually
see, I was gonna say that I thought she was okay, and I guess that was like the role that she was playing.
it's
but-
a little one note, but I think that was in the
Yeah.
writing.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's possible. I did also think, what was his name? The guy who played Miles, Lewis Pullman. I liked his performance as the.
Is
the
Miles
desk
the
clerk.
Tom
I
Holland
thought he was
lookalike?
pretty good.
Miles was the
desk clerk, yeah.
the Tom Holland lookalike.
Yeah.
That role, fun fact, was originally made for Tom Holland, and he turned it down.
I saw that.
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
read that.
interesting.
So I
Wait, I'm not done.
okay, go for it.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm done. You can go.
So all of your complaints, it's funny, Kai. All of your complaints about this is 100% how I felt about Windfall, but you didn't feel that at all. Like, and like the difference between the two is that, like, in my opinion, is that Windfall is like this character study of these three characters where we should be delving into their like them as a character and embodying this like person, this character. But from the beginning, and this is slightly going into the technical aspect already, but from the beginning, the opening shot is this like highly stylized theatrical wide shot of Nick Offerman in the hotel room, right? So from the first scene, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little different. This isn't going to be this like character driven, like it's going to be this like distant voyeuristic film where the actors aren't necessarily being characters as much as they are being players. Like they're players for the film.
Yet
And
they give
that's
us all the backstory of
Yes,
them.
but not very deep backstories. Like we all agreed that the flashbacks are only like 3 minutes. Like what did we learn from each person in 3 minutes other than like she's a singer, she's black, and she's traveling somewhere? We didn't learn anything else about her.
Well,
So, like-
that she has been, she didn't go any further with music, and
Sure.
is now
Sure, it's
but
all still very
yeah.
surface level.
Yeah.
Every single character, anything we learn about them, it's all very surface level. So that's why for me, my notes on acting are like everyone did their job. Like, and that's it. Like,
Yeah, but I'm
there
not
wasn't-
talking about yes, I agree this is stylized, but you can still be organic and feel like a real person.
But I don't think they
rather
were
than be-
supposed to be. That's the thing. Even with Jeff Bridges,
No,
I'm like,
you're always supposed to feel like a real person as an actor.
well, no, because you could have stylized, over the top acting, and that is
You
the
can
point.
still
There's a
ground
reason
it.
Willy
You
Wonka
can
exists.
Johnny Depp's version of Willy Wonka still very grounded.
Okay.
Do you know
sure.
what I mean? There's a way to ground a character, even if you're being a character. Like you have to find where this person is real. And like there were just moments with some of the actors who we mentioned, like John Hamm and Dakota Johnson, where it's like, I want to see the real person.
See, I didn't believe any of them, though. I felt like they were all just being players in this cog. If Act 3 turned out that this was all in someone's imagination, I would have been like, oh, yeah, okay.
You didn't believe Jeff Bridges either?
No, I felt like he was being a character. He was being this, like, priest that, like, what, like, maybe when he said, like, I'm losing my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. But I saw, like, from the beginning, I
Okay,
felt like
cool.
like the movie established that, like, this is going to be this thing where it's not going to be, doubt with Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman, where we're going to figure out, like, the integral,
sure,
like,
I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm saying
no,
you can
I know,
still...
I know. But what I'm saying is, like, that allowed me to, like, be like, oh yeah, John Hamm's, like, accent is over the top, and like a lot of these characters are very over the top.
Right, and
Like-
that's why afterwards I was like, oh, okay, I don't hate that his.
I would say
accent
almost
were-
every single character is over the top. I like the most reserved, in my opinion, was Dakota Johnson.
I just want to note that I never used the word over the top. Travis is using the word
Okay,
over the
yeah,
top.
all of them are exaggerated caricatures of a person, in my opinion, and I think that's a
Sure, but
directorial
you can
choice.
Still ground that as an actor.
Yeah, you
I
could
think
ground
Chris
it as a
Hemsworth-
caricature of a person.
Totally, and I think Chris Hemsworth did, and I think
No,
Jeff Bridges.
Why was
did.
his more grounded than anything that like John Hamm did? Other than
don't
you
know, I
want to bang
believed
Chris
it more.
Hemsworth and you don't like John Hamm.
No. I believed it more. And look, I do
why?
like
But
John
what-
Hamm. I love John Hamm.
what
in
about
Mad
Chris
Men. I
Hemsworth?
believe him in Mad Men.
They are both equally over the top and exaggerated. There is nothing that.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying.
But okay, so why was Chris Hemsworth more grounded than John Hamm? If we're agreeing that they were both over the top and exaggerated.
I will say the characters are written as over the top, but I'm saying one actor grounds that over the top character and the other does
Okay,
not.
but how you're not answering the question,
Okay,
Kai.
you're
How
saying-
is Chris Hemsworth more grounded as
It's
an
a
actor?
feeling.
It's a feeling. Yeah, I don't actually know how to describe. It's the little things, like what I described with John Hamm, how he doesn't actually think about I'm making a decision to grab these cups of coffee.
Look, just because Chris Hemsworth made the decision to walk through a field of flowers with his shirt open and
That's
a
not
wind
what
fan
I was
blowing
saying.
doesn't mean that that's more
Okay,
grounded.
the
than,
fact that like Jeff Bridges takes a moment, he takes his moments, he really has that thought or that moment where I believe that like he can't fucking remember his own name, and the way that he turns to Cynthia Erivo's character and says, "Did I tell you my name?" There's something in that like I believe that that's who he is. He's not Jeff Bridges any longer. He is this guy struggling to find out his own name.
It's interesting that you bring
Whereas-
up that moment though, because I also feel like that was some of Cynthia Erivo's best moments. In that,
I agree. I
in that
totally
film.
agree.
Like I
Yeah.
100% like felt for her character in that moment where
Yes.
she like them two were on the same wavelength of like we're trying to survive this, so we got to go with like the same story.
100%. I felt
On the flip side, Chris Hemsworth standing there saying like, "All right, I'm waiting for my stage direction when I'm supposed to spin this thing, but look at my fucking abs while I do it." and then everyone's gonna love it.
Okay, wait, here. I will say something actually to what you just said about
Let me
Cynthia
shimmy
Erivo.
over to the jukebox.
So I will so I fully believe that good actors can be made better actors when they're in a scene with a great actor.
Of course,
And
yes.
I thought all the scenes that Cynthia Erivo did with Jeff Bridges were excellent.
Which were almost all of them except the Washington D.C. flashback. So you think
the
Cynthia
the
Erivo is
stuff
really
in the,
good
The stuff in the beginning, it was sort of the
in the lobby when she's quiet for majority of the time,
yeah, and
holding her
it's-
luggage.
Oh my God, this man won't let me speak.
I'm trying to mansplain to you why you're wrong, Kai.
I understand. It's okay for me to have an opinion and change it as we have a discussion as well. And I didn't say I didn't love
Everyone's gonna hate me
her
after this
performance,
episode.
or they'll hate me, or they'll hate us both and stop listening to this podcast.
Everybody will love you.
Yeah, people will be like, "Can you do an episode with just Brian?"
Just Brian. Make these two shut up. Yeah, okay.
My
Continue.
point being, I think everyone did their job to the effect that they needed to.
For me, it was more that Dakota Johnson and John Hamm still felt robotic with their characters. Like, even if they're all over the top, like Kai said, Jeff Bridges I found believable. Chris Hemsworth, even though he's playing an over-the-top character, still felt like that person to me. Whereas John Hamm felt like he was just, you could like see his brain processing, what does the script tell me to do next?
Yes,
See,
the staginess of it, which there are
Yeah.
moments with Cynthia Erivo, even though I thought she had some really beautiful scenes, there were some moments with her too where I felt like the stage directions are telling me I need to do this thing now, and so I'm doing it. But particularly, I will say it was the beginning of the movie. It was the very first scene is when I felt like that.
She was thinking about, how should I hold this luggage in the lobby? How does the stage direction?
No,
tell me
it
to
was
hold
even
this
like when
luggage?
she pauses because John Hamm's character says something offensive to her. Like even the pause and the turn and the, I don't know, but also,
See, but I
with
took that.
things
See,
like
I
this,
felt that was. I felt that was one of her more grounded moments, because it's like, oh yeah, she's a black woman in 1969 America,
Totally.
where like I can't say anything, like I can't, and I'm also
Totally.
the only person of color in this entire place, probably
Right.
the entire city.
right,
town.
totally, and I'm staying by myself alone in a hotel room. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. But I will also say I didn't necessarily believe some of those moments for her. However, I will also say that it doesn't mean that she didn't give them. It might have been the take that the editor decided to use. It might have been, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
of course,
all of that is a factor.
Nope, I blame the actors. The editor's never wrong.
Last thing for me on acting, I really loved the desk clerk.
The what?
The desk clerk. I felt the
Oh, yeah.
I felt like he, and it's possibly, like, if I'm completely honest, it's possibly the byproduct of him being an unknown person. Like, I don't know who that actor was. So, like, I have nothing that I'm painting on. Like, with Jeff Bridges, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is just Jeff Bridges growling his way through this story of being a priest. And, like, he has dementia. This is Thor walking around, like, telling people to fight. Like, I did not feel like anyone, and I chalk it up, and I don't disagree that I'm not even saying the acting was bad at all. I'm just saying that the acting all served its point, and
Yeah, sure, I get that the acting all served its point. I didn't feel like,
but to say that any of them were grounded and like,
well, I will say
Stanislavski would be so proud right now. Uta Hagen would be so proud of Jeff Bridges and his acting abilities as Father Flynn Doyle.
Speaking of that sound effect, I thought you said that Thor is walking around telling people to fart.
That might have made his
That would've
character
been
more
funnier.
compelling for me. I'd be like, why
Yeah.
is this man getting a bunch of people around to fart? Is he starting a
Why
new
isn't he?
progressive movement that farting should be socially acceptable? Because I do think it would end world wars. It would end like if people were allowed to fart in public. It's a whole nother thing.
I mean, I fart in public all the time.
No, but like, and
I work
we're-
in the event world, and when you're around crowds of people and it's loud, nobody notices.
Well,
You
yeah,
gotta
that's
let one loose,
different.
you gotta let
That's
one
different.
loose.
But people get so angry because they have to hold in all these farts. You know,
My
And then when
dad
they
used to
leave-
say that my mom was such a bitch because she held in her farts.
I'm telling you, if everyone could just fart whenever they wanted to fart and it was socially acceptable, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, smelly gas does come out of our buttholes," like it's fine.
Side note, my mom is not a bitch, and my dad was just making a joke.
What rabbit hole have I just sent us down?
I just think the world would be a better place if we were all allowed to fart in front of each other.
Okay.
So how about the technical aspects of this film?
So moving on to the final category, Jen. Sorry, I'm so sorry. You're gonna have so much to cut for this episode.
No, I feel like keep it all in.
We're at an
We're just
hour
on
5
fire.
already.
Oh God.
Yeah. So technical aspects. I could go first, or I will go first. I'm going to go first. I thought that every single technical aspect of this film, I loved for the most part. I love the fact that it had like this classic Hollywood, like it kind of weird that we just did Windfall and then this, like this classical like neo-noir like style, like mystery. Well, I guess noir is always mystery to begin with, but like noir vibe to it. And then also to find out that they built all the sound, like this is all on a sound stage, like they built all of their sets. Like it felt very like
I also read. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say it just felt like the people that were doing it knew exactly what they were going for, and like it wasn't like we'll figure it out in the edit, or like it seemed like every single person that had their hand on it, whether it be the cinematographer or the production designer or like even the damn storyboard artist, like they all knew like this is the intention we are going for, and we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also read that apparently the film was shot without any additional traditional lighting. So somehow they built the set in a way to allow lighting
Like natural light,
to, yeah, I guess, to like kind of flood the set. So there was no additional lighting.
just like the practical lights.
I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
And for the
That's just what
listeners
I
out there,
read
a
on
practical light
IMDb's.
is a light that's in the shot that's on. So like a lamp that's in the background, that's considered a practical light.
Yeah. One of the first things that I wrote down was I love movies that are set in different time periods, just because, like this was the late 60s is what this was. So just like even the cars that they drive and then the way they dress. And I loved the design and the look of the whole motel. The lobby, everything I just thought was, and even the way, the hallway when the hallway were like the kind of, we'll call it the peep show hallway, where you could see into the rooms, and like the camera would sometimes pan from one window to the next. Like some of those shots I thought were really well done. So yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like I thought the cinematography was pretty good. I thought the what's the word I'm looking for? The score was also pretty good too. So yeah, from a technical standpoint, I thought it was pretty well done, which is a big part of why I said that this was a good movie, because a lot of those aspects I thought were pretty good.
I 100% agree. I wrote lighting on point, camera work, yes, soundtrack, score, I was just loving all of that. Yeah, visually it was just so much fun to watch.
There's this.
And-
Oh, sorry. Go. Sorry.
That's okay. And then I looked up because I was like, where did they shoot this? This is a gorgeous hotel. This has to be a hotel somewhere, right? And I, in my research of that, I found that it was actually written after a hotel called the Cal Neva Hotel, which actually exists, I think, still.
Was that the Frank Sinatra one?
That I don't
Frank
know.
Sinatra owned a hotel that like was exactly the same thing. It was like split between Nevada and California.
Oh, okay.
I just don't remember the name of it.
Got
So
it.
I'm curious if
I'm not
it's-
sure. Maybe it is Cal Neva. Check it out. Yeah, I will say my only technical note on this was just the pacing. I didn't mind the pace in the beginning. I didn't mind being drawn into this mystery, right? Because it is a mystery and we're trying to figure out what's going on. But then when it switches from like climax on and becomes that like shoot 'em out, I don't know. it felt so sudden to me because it was so slow up into that point. So I felt like the pacing was uneven.
Yeah, that's fair. There was one point where Jeff Bridges and Cynthia Erivo are sitting. The scene where she ends up clocking him over the head with the bottle, when they're still sitting at the booth, that I did notice a bad continuity cut. It was the only like one time I noticed it, and I'm trying to what did I write down. So I guess he gets up to get a second drink, and then she's sitting at the table still, but then the next cut she was like, just, it was just weird the way she was like up walking away. Just felt like a weird continuity thing. So that was like the only editing thing that I noticed in terms of
Yeah, I totally
continuity type things.
I totally have a pet peeve, which I guess is a technical aspect, but I just kept writing why when I was watching the scene with Dakota Johnson and her younger sister, and we're watching it through the mirror, which I actually loved, or through the like creepy corridor, the pervert corridor, I'm going to call it. And so I loved that shot, but Dakota Johnson has the door wide open and it's like sunset. There's still light outside. Anybody could see her dragging this body into and I get it's her sister, whatever. But then also she leaves the door's still open when she shoots John Hamm. It's like the door's open the whole time. Yeah. And you're going, what? You know, it was just, that was killing me.
I wrote that note down too, like, why does she not close the door?
It's because it's a way of storytelling, so we can see that she just drugged this girl out of her trunk. Like, it's all for script purposes, but doesn't actually make sense, again, for what an organic, grounded person would do.
But that's not her.
Yeah.
No,
that's
totally.
the heightened nature of. We
know
could go
that's
back
not
to
her.
this. It's the heightened nature of the
I
film
agree
in
with
which we're
that.
watching a theatrical presentation of this story unfold. We're not watching any real people.
No, I get that we're watching a stylized performance, but I'm saying
we're not watching this.
But I think you
wannabe
can
priest
make
with dementia that somehow did
perform-
not like get let out early once he was diagnosed with dementia.
But I think
I'm just saying he would have been let out early if he got diagnosed.
But I think you can get a stylized performance and a stylized movie and still, like, that was just a plot device, right? They just needed that to show us something.
I disagree. What did that serve? Like keeping the door open?
Showing us that her trunk was open and that she just drugged this person out of her car, that she brought this person in the car. And then the door had to be open for Cynthia Erivo's character to see John Hamm get shot with a buckshot. So for both of those things, there was a
that
reason
makes sense because he breaks the door down.
Right, and he just swings it open. So that one I didn't mind as much.
The first one, though, I mean, we all agree, like, it was stupid that she kept it open for so long. But maybe this is a, like, directorial decision or, like, critique. But I'm like, we would have known what she was doing if she had just closed the door. Like, it would have been fine.
Right.
Like, we would have got that she's tied up and you, like, dragged a woman.
Right.
The Calneva Lodge is the Frank Sinatra one.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
So he bought it, and it was exactly the same thing. I just want to say that there's this shot that I thought was one of my favorite shots in the whole film, and I know you two are going to hate it because it's with John Hamm. But he's in the rain, and it's where he's thinking about what to do, and, like, the water is, like, perfectly going down the front of his glasses.
I know the shot that you're talking about.
And, like, the practical lights of the hotel are behind him, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, the mixture of the blues and the yellows in this shot and the composition of, like, his face, and he's, like, looking at the hotel room and, like, trying to decide if he should throw his career away, essentially, to, like, save this girl was beautiful.
I'll be honest, I don't remember that shot, but peek behind the curtain, I watched this movie about a week ago. So
Kai and I both watched it today.
Yeah. I also absolutely loved the opening shots, all the shots with it. And I agreed with what you said earlier, that that's the way they pulled us into the style of this film. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you open with this guy getting shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this movie still sucked because they killed off Nick Offerman.
I know. In a wide. They didn't even give him a close-up death.
We got another scene with him.
Honestly,
I'm not as big of a fan. So, like, I mean, like,
if
I like him, but
if I didn't know he was in this movie, I wouldn't have known that was him.
No, not at all.
Like, I wouldn't
not even the other scene?
I did. That's what I was saying. I didn't know the first time I saw it.
I thought he had a mask on in the other scene.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, not even in the other scene.
Any other final technical? I feel like
Kai
we
and
all
I are right
agree.
about the acting. Travis is wrong.
I feel like we all
I'm
agree on the
nodding.
technical though that it's like
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Last minute thing before we decide if we have changed our minds is the nitpick section.
Yeah, why the fuck do you kill off Nick Offerman?
Okay, Brian, do you have any other ones?
Yeah, why couldn't you put somebody better than John Hamm in this movie?
Why did John Hamm not offer sugar or cream with the coffee?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh, I don't drink coffee, so
Yeah, I know it's bad.
whatever.
I actually drink
I
coffee
drink mine
black,
black,
but
yeah.
I know a lot of people who don't. So, and I was a barista for a long time. So I just had this like a real person would. No, I get it. I get it. I get why
A
he
real
didn't.
person wouldn't know where the coffee and where the cream and the.
Oh, but he knew where
milk is.
everything else was.
I mean, the coffee maker was on the
Okay,
counter.
All right, so he knew where the coffee was. He obviously
Probably
scrounged
next to
around
the
some
coffee maker.
Well, wouldn't the cream and the sugar be next to it
What
too?
if there's
Maybe
no
the
fridge
cream was
back
in the
there?
fridge.
What if mini fridges weren't invented at this time?
All right, but mini fridges were for sure around.
Behind a
People
bar
had, I don't know,
in the 60s?
who knows?
Maybe this film is actually more real
When
than
was
you're
the mini
willing to
fridge
even
invented?
know.
Yeah, that's a great question. Super interesting for our
Oh,
listeners.
this just tells me the refrigerator was invented in 1856. That doesn't help.
Dang, been refrigerating since
When was the mini
1856.
fridge invented? No, it's only telling me the refrigerator. That doesn't help.
So, the mini bar was first invented
This is what our
in
fan comes here to
19
hear.
in 1982 to be on a NASA space shuttle. Boom.
Well, hey.
So where would the fridge be?
Eat a dick, Travis. I was a pet peeve, and then I was also saying was stupid, and I realized it.
I'm sorry. We shouldn't be arguing over
I
our,
also
our,
should
our
probably
nitpick.
shouldn't tell you to eat a dick on a podcast where I also said hi, mom earlier.
I'm gonna save my nitpicks because everyone probably hates me at this point.
No, tell us what
I
are
mean,
your
mine was
just-
nitpicks. That's fair. Brian's like, I do. Shut the hell up.
No one is coming back to listen to me. They're just gonna be coming back to listen to you too.
I think I'm out too. I think you were right, but it's a Brian solo podcast from here on out.
I
be
only had
great.
2 nitpicks, and that was other than like where they chose to make the plot unfold, but the door, like we said, and then also the wire that like he was like just taking random wires from the engine, and then I'm like, would she know exactly which wire is hers?
To
Like,
choose
yeah,
and to
how,
put
how
in.
does,
I
like,
did have that thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, look,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That,
Like-
well, also the convenience of they all ended up there this night, and there wasn't a single other soul at the hotel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to like. Sorry, I'm not. We're not going to debate nitpicks. Yes, I agree. Also, the peeping tom hallway that you talked about, Brian. I just thought this was gonna like descend into like the first time that I saw Parasite. Like when they like move the bookcase and like they're sorry, spoilers for Parasite as well. But like when it's one shot and the camera starts to go down the like basement, I'm just like, oh my gosh, where the hell is this going? Like I just thought they were gonna dive into something so much more like darker and like something talking about human
Grittier.
nature or something like that.
I
But then
think
it just
that's
ends
why
up being
I wanted
this.
the kid to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought like this film really had me thinking of the movie Identity. I don't know if
Yes,
anyone's
me
seen it.
too. It's
Yeah.
which is actually one of my favorite
I
movies.
love Identity.
Yes, we
I
agree.
love it.
Yes, I kept thinking about that. That's actually, I remember that's why I was so excited to see Bad Times at El Royale, because I was like, ooh, a mystery set at a hotel, and I loved Identity so much. Have you ever seen Identity, Brian? Ooh, dude, watch
I remember
that
the first time
movie.
I watched it, I thought it was the best twist like
Oh,
in
yes.
the entire world. Oh, it's
Don't
like-
spoil that
Yeah,
twist.
no, I'm not.
Because it's
Yeah,
a good
fucker.
Yeah. All right, that's it for nitpicks then. Okay.
I just want to say something quickly
Mm-hmm.
about with nitpicks and with all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, we're watching a movie and we have to suspend our disbelief.
Of course.
So all the nitpicks that I have, even the coffee and the creamer and the sugar and the whatever, I can suspend my disbelief and just be in the movie. I was in the movie. So really, they weren't hardcore nitpicks.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, we obviously recognize that, like, making a film is extremely difficult. And
Speak for yourself.
well, speaking as a person who has hired Brian to work on my film before, it is extremely difficult when you hire Brian to make a film.
Yes, we're all Oscar winners here doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But I think, I mean, this kind of segues into like whether our opinions have changed. But I just felt like mine is good bad because I was on board with the film for like 75% of it. It's really just how they ended up ending this like whole thing and how it just divulged into this, you know, or disintegrated into this like mess of an ending. But that's why I thought like it's good. Like I did not regret seeing this. Like I've regretted watching a few of the films that we've watched. And like there was so much craft and like care that went into it. It's just like it was a bad story for me.
So
that's why it was a good bad movie, because like majority of the film was good to me.
So right, I would agree with everything you just said, except for to me, then that's why it's a bad. No, it's that just goes.
But
I think
good movie.
But I
yeah.
think also like for bad good for you is that like it's a bad film to you because like it could have been so much.
Explain to me why.
Yes,
Travis.
I'm gonna mansplain to you your decision.
Yeah, great.
No, but really, like it could have been so much better.
Right.
And like there is so many like things there that they left on the table that could have made it better.
Right. However, I did enjoy it. So it's a good movie, but it's bad.
You
it's
literally hated this movie 24 hours ago when you said that. You are dreading watching this, and you're probably not even going to watch it again. But I reminded you that the listeners come to us for true journalistic
reporting
integrity.
Also, again, I will say, I think my drama over it was because I was so excited to see it the first time. And this was in 2018 when it first came out. And I was very disappointed with what it was. And so I'm actually glad that I went back and watched it 4 years later. And like didn't have and actually because so the very first time I went into it being like, this movie's gonna be so you know, and it wasn't. And so this time I went into it being like, this movie sucks, and then I was like, oh no, it doesn't. So you know, I like to toy with my own emotions.
I think I'm also softer on it.
Case of emotion.
I also feel like I'm softer on it because I could imagine like 10-year-old Travis watching this who has like never really seen any Hitchcock films other than Psycho and being like, oh my gosh, this mystery and the twists and like this is amazing. So I could see this as like a entry level like film studies.
Which actually makes me want to go back and watch Identity, speaking of, because I haven't seen
that
movie
me not
since.
Because I have not seen it since I rented it on VHS.
Right. Maybe it might be a movie that we should do for
it's
this
not.
podcast.
I would never want to do it for this
I
one.
know, because you love it too much. Yeah, I feel the same way, but I haven't watched it.
I'd be too biased.
In a really long time.
I'd be like, no, this is good. I don't care what you say. So I'm sticking with good bad. You are sticking with
Bad good.
And Brian, are you changing your Brian, you never change your mind.
Nope.
No.
No.
Brian has yet to change his mind, which means that Kai and I are just poor
Yeah, I don't see myself ever changing my mind.
Yeah.
And we're open to possibility. We're malleable.
Yeah, no, I'm stubborn.
Yeah. Yep.
It's okay. But no, I'm sticking with bad good.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. That was our decision on the 2018 film Bad Times at El Royale. Thank you so much for listening to this stream of consciousness banter that this turned into. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you want to keep listening to us. If you want to find us on any social media, it is goodbad_badgood. If you want to find me on any social media, it is travis.orozco and
Kailena Mai, Kailena Mai. on the gram.
And
You boy Bossip.
yep. Brian,
That's it.
Brian's just
That's all I got.
awesome.
You gotta guess.
You boy.
You gotta guess. No, it's
Boy
not
Bossip.
everything. You just gotta guess which things.
I know. I hate having to. I don't know why I spell it every time. I feel like if anybody actually cared to look up my name, they could just find it on whatever we're
Probably.
on. Yeah.
But yeah, find us on all those social places where you could tell us that we're doing a good job or yell at us for being wrong about something. Maybe you thought this was a good movie and it should never have been on this podcast. Let us know. We want to hear from you. Until next time, though, thank you and
Good night.
bye.
Good Bad Bad Good is an Ex Nihilo production. Original theme music and sound engineering done by Jen Star Hacker. Find her at hackersoundmusic.com. Opinions expressed are solely that of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity